Okay, so there's the sound. Okay, I didn't check that. So there should be sound now. Okay, like I said, okay, so let me start from the beginning again. So welcome again. We are on Rumble and on YouTube, and this is our regular live stream scheduled on Thursdays on these two platforms. And just to remind you, we are not doing a live stream on Thanksgiving for obvious reasons. So we'll skip that. We'll skip Thanksgiving and we'll resume the following week. So this will be the live stream for this week, no live stream next week. And we're going to be talking about some interesting topics tonight. The first topic we're going to talk about is Nikki Haley and the fact that I'm blacklisting Nikki Haley because she screwed up big time. Screwed up big time. I'm not political. This is not a political channel, so I'm open to everyone. I'm open to everyone and any candidate. But come on, this is the privacy channel. So if you conflict with what I teach here, then obviously I'm gonna not gonna talk nicely about you. So we'll get to that. Then next we're going to talk about the EU. The EU, kind of interesting news. In one way they're saying, okay, we're not going to do the client-side scanning, and then they turn around and said, well, we're not going to do that, but we're going to do something else. Okay, like duck that. There's going to be something interesting. And then I'm going to talk about this because I just got my. I made the video about a shopping list, and I talked about the reMarkable tablet, and which I have here, but I haven't actually talked about it. I'll probably make a separate video on this, but just give you a little bit of a preview of what I think about it, and we'll get to that in 1/2 hour. I obviously I can't do it all in 1/2 hour, so we'll squeeze in like a little bit of each, and then we'll see what we get on that side here. Okay, hello, Northern Chimp, Neil Thompson, and Cosmic Rose, Charismatic Fiend, and Rick Hart. Welcome, my friends. I can't see the commenters on Rumble yet, so I'm going to set this up right now, and here we go. I'm going to see you in a second here. Actually, I can't see anything yet, so I guess I got to do a couple of clicks, and then I'll see the Rumble people. Okay, there we go. So 3 Strong Pilot Mike is on. Bradley Ironmonger is on Rumble. Okay, so let me just say this. Okay, I don't talk politics on this channel. You can believe whatever you want. That's not my concern. My concern is that you're free to think whatever you want, and if somebody manipulates you and tries to make you think other than your free will to choose whatever you want to choose, then I get pretty upset. So over the years, there's been some politicians that have turned around and they're on both sides of the political spectrum here, so left and right, and they're on both sides of the political spectrum, and they have what I would say are authoritarian views. And just an example on the right would be Conran, and the names of these senators escape me. On the left, you got Feinstein, when Feinstein was around before she died. These are all pretty right wing in terms of, well, they're hawks, okay. But hawks is not a commentary on on just, their eagerness to go to war, but it's it's about their eagerness to run an authoritarian government and basically put us under their thumb and control us. And Nikki Haley just revealed what her true beliefs are, and it just shocks me that anyone would actually say this. And yeah, she's apparently one of those, and many have related her to Dick Cheney and George Bush, and the second George Bush. And if you forget, I mean, many of you forgot, so I'll remind you, it was George Bush who set up the Zucking Patriot Act. Okay, so we are now under this surveillance threat in our own country, all because we're supposed to be concerned about terrorists, and this was established by Bush. And if you think, oh, it's just Bush, so you can blame Bush on this. No, Obama then said, okay, we're gonna put more on top of that. So it was actually Bush, then Obama, and it's like, Doc, they said, we're gonna go emphasize this authoritarian state by putting in a lot of the surveillance, and I'm gonna lie to the citizens and tell them stuff that's not really true. Say, oh, we don't really track what you do on everything on the internet, your communications. We don't really do that, but they do. I mean, totally a big lie. And the excuse is, you can play politics here. You can play politics here, and the politics is, as far as, for example, as far as Obama is concerned, is because I just remember this. When he went on the air and said, the NSA doesn't really, track every single American. No. Here's the logic that they used. The NSA collects every piece of data about every single person. Okay, there's no doubt about that. That's the way it works, and Snowden revealed that already. Okay, so that's the way it works. But the excuse is, and this is the politician's excuse, is that, oh, well, unless somebody looks at it, unless human looks at it, computers can look at it. But as long as a human does not look at it, then nobody's checked you out. So that's Obama's logic. So is it true that we're not being checked out? No, it's completely false. So it's a complete lie. And now we got another player, Nikki Haley, that says, no, we are not entitled to anonymity on the internet. If she becomes president, she will require that we provide identity information for everyone on the internet. Who's Nikki Haley? She's running for president on the Republican side. My gosh, Neil, you're like, let's not be too backward here. I mean, be a little bit aware of the current events. Even I have to follow some of this political stuff, even though I hate politics. But my goodness, guys, can you imagine a politician stating that they're going to require that anyone on the internet be identified? My gosh. I mean, the only reason we have some limited freedom on the internet is because we don't have to identify ourselves. And now if she wants to turn the internet into a big, giant, zucking Facebook, zuck that. On Facebook, everyone is identified. So you want to turn the entire internet into a zucking Facebook. Wow. I mean, that's it's pretty crazy. So basically, instead of Facebook spying on you, the government can now spy on you because they can, identify everything you do on the internet. It's pretty bad enough as it is. There's so many ways of identifying you on the internet, and we find some ways around that so that you can have, the Google phones and things like that that can at least hide your identity on the internet. So you can talk freely and not have to think that someone actually tracks you, which they do. I already told you this. Okay, when you're on Google, and Google, by the way, can see if you're logged into Google, you're done. So some of you are like saying, "Oh, I'm going to use an iPhone, because your Brax2 phones aren't fancy enough, and I got to use an iPhone because it's stronger and all that." It's like, what the heck is your choice? You're making a choice to say, I'm going to go use an iPhone, and if you use an iPhone or standard Android or Samsung, you are zucked. You are zucked. You are basically saying, oh yeah, you can go track me every moment of the day with an identity, because one of the things that the Google phone doesn't do is give an identity. This phone makes me pretty much unknown, because it doesn't emit any identifiers to big tech. Unknown to big tech. So, and Nikki Haley wants to destroy that by saying, okay, the only way to go on the internet now is you're going to be logged in with an identity. So anyway, my point is this. It doesn't matter who the candidate is. This particular candidate is really screwed up. Obviously doesn't understand the world, doesn't understand the risks of today. And if somebody's going to do that, then goodness, don't even think about this as a candidate. Now, just out of balance here, I'm going to tell you somebody else who's actually pro-privacy in a shocking way. I'm actually shocked that this is true. But Robert Kennedy is very pro-privacy. You may not believe in the rest of his politics, but interesting. I wish, some of these candidates can take a little bit from everyone else. They should take a little bit from Robert Kennedy's playbook, because for example, he's pro-crypto. He doesn't believe in CDBC, controlling us with controlled currency and all that, digital currency. It's somebody should take from that playbook. But obviously, if you're going to say, well, I'm going to choose to stick with Biden. I mean, it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, but Doc, not even sure Trump is going to protect your privacy. Heck, he was president for 4 years. He didn't do anything with it. So I don't know. So some of these, the only one that's actually said anything that's really positive relating to the true concerns about privacy in all of the candidates has been Kennedy, which is very, very, very interesting. So anyway, this has nothing to do with their political views. I don't really care what you think about whatever the political views are. Well, I do care, but that's up to you to decide. I'm just saying, with respect to being in a surveillance state, I do not. I will tell you straight up, if somebody's a believer in the surveillance state, in which case, then zuck them. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know anybody else who's specifically said that they're interested in protecting you from the surveillance state, other than Kennedy. So, I'm preaching to the choir, Mizu. Don't know. That's not true. It depends on the channel. If I'm on Rumble, I don't know. It depends on who it is. So anyway, I'm just saying to you that if you're happen to be thinking on the Republican side, when I heard that comment from Nikki Haley, I said, "Zuck that." Zuck. I mean, immediately. I mean, it's like I don't need to listen anymore. I do not need to listen anymore. I said, you want no anonymity on the internet? Zuck you. Done. That means you're like Zuck. Okay? That means you're like Zuck. In which case, I'm going to say, Zuck you, Nikki Haley. Okay. So there we go. That's all I have to say about that topic. Now let's go to something else. automatically disqualified. That's funny how you phrase that, Greg Gold. So anyway, let's move into the next topic, which is the EU. So Republicans passed Patriot Act. Everyone passed the Patriot. What are you talking about? The Democrat Congress renewed the Patriot Act over and over for years and years. This is 20. When was that's 2001, for goodness sakes. We're like past 20 years, and it was a Democratic Congress that had been renewing it. So no, it's all about all politicians, all of them. If you're thinking it's like, oh, it's only the Democrats, it's only the Republicans. Zuck that, it's all of them. All of them. You're like saying, oh, Dianne Feinstein is a Democrat and she wouldn't be believing in all this. No, she's one of the big pushers. So yeah, it's both sides. Anyway, that took up 17 minutes, so I'm going to talk about the next topic, which is the EU. I got to do this quickly now. So the EU said, okay, we're not going to do client-side scanning. So they, I forget the name of the bill. Is that the child safety law, or was that the UK? I forget which one. But anyway, they're all the same. They wanted to do, child safety laws, and the way to do that, they think, is to do client-side scanning. So they want to require applications and platforms to do client-side scanning. And I actually made a video of how they would do that, and likely they would do that with the antivirus. That would be the number one method and the quickest method of implementing this. So, and they may still do it, under the radar, they could still do it. So antivirus people, if you, like I saw these comments about people saying, oh, you lost your credibility because, you need an antivirus. Like, yeah, right, go ahead, do that. So if you want the potential of client-side scanning, the best software for client-side scanning, my friends, is the antivirus, because it already does client-side scanning. It's already what it does. It client-side scans for malware, so why not client-side scan for anything else? Okay, so the problem is this, and I'm going to introduce this topic. I'm going to probably be making, I will be making a video about this, but not in this way. Okay, let me just tell you about this. The EU, although they did not pass the law relating to client-side scanning, has come up with something new, and these zucking, oh my gosh, these government people, the overreach. They just want to reach into you and grab you by the zucking whatever. Okay, they want to grab your whatever. Okay, and what they want to grab this time is IDs. So they want to have a universal EU ID. And you might say, okay, so what's the big deal with that? So you go on the internet and you'll be able to show an ID based on the internet. And you will be granted your own ID that you can verify on the internet. Okay, 007, I'm animated because I had too much to drink, so I don't know. You can go blame me on that. But anyway, the problem is, and this is not the obvious one, is in order for them to implement this EU ID, they actually have set up an EU, pay attention to this, an EU root certificate. Not only that, the EU root certificate has granted every country in the EU an intermediate certificate authority, intermediate CA. Now, what do you think that means? What does that mean? If you're a CA, by the way, there's also, they're saying that there will be a law. So they're thinking about putting this law in that says you cannot blacklist any certificate, root certificate authorized by the EU. You cannot. If a browser decides to blacklist any EU certificate, they will be going against the law. Now, what do you think this means, people? If you probably don't understand what this means. I'm going to tell you what this means. It means anyone can intercept Zucking every HTTPS TLS traffic on the Zucking internet. It doesn't matter if you're in the EU or not. Someone can make a fake certificate for any website anywhere in the Zucking world, just validated by an EU Zucking certificate, or any one of those countries, any country in the EU. Any. You can take the smallest country. Let's say Estonia says, oh, I want to spy on people. Or, hey, I want to spy on people and give the data to the US. Could you do that? Zuck, if you're an intermediate authority and no one's going to cross-check what you create as certificates, you can do anything. This is what Blue Coat Systems did with Symantec. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. So anyway, that's just to tell you what that is. Okay, I'm gonna go on. We can continue after the first half an hour, but I guess I'm out of time with that. Okay, guys. So this is a reMarkable tablet. So I'm showing you some actual notes here that I wrote, and actually these notes are gonna be part of my next video related to what I just said about the EU. So I'm making notes, and I'm using this tablet to just write. And look how thin this sucker is. My gosh, it's so thin. It's like an eighth of an inch. I mean, it's so thin. I mean, it's really thin, and I don't have a case for it, so it's even thinner. So this is a reMarkable tablet. So I don't have much time to explain to you. So what this is, and by the way, none of the stuff in my last video on shopping, the shopping guide, none of that's sponsored. So this is not sponsored. I paid for this myself. Okay, didn't get any sponsorship for this. I paid for this for $500 some, and basically it's a paper. It's an electronic paper, and you put your pen and then it stays in there, and it's pretty. It stays there pretty much. I mean, look how strong the magnet is. You can actually hold it on the pen and it stays put. Anyway, with this pen, then I can write on here and have this interface to this device that's just e-ink. So let me just make a quick sheet of paper and have it on I put a background on it, which is a music sheet. So, but you can write anything you want in here. There. Oh, sorry, I'm not on the pen mode. Okay, so you can write anything on here. It feels like paper. It's very smooth. Okay. And then look at this. You can turn it over and you can erase it. Again, this is not sponsored. I'm just showing you this because it's an interesting concept. And some people have actually talked about, potential uses for this. And they were asking me, and I'm going to tell you in 5 minutes what some of these potential uses are. Like I said, I like to use it because I like to just think of writing notes without having to do a computer, because a computer, you got to go set up a computer and you got to go look at an app and go type and all that, and I don't have to do that with this. I just put up a sheet of paper and just start writing. Okay, and I can just take notes, and you can cut and paste. And the interesting thing is you can actually run the desktop app of this reMarkable tablet on your computer, and whatever you do on this shows up on the app. So it's basically immediately on the app, and then you can email it, you can send it to somebody else, and you can even edit, your ink, and move the ink around and so on. You can do like character recognition. You can put a form and write on it and then send it with the form. I said, how do you do that? I'm like thinking of a case here. If you're not just doing free form notes like I am, is there a way to do this so you can run a business with this? And I said, how would you do that? So an example I thought would be like a contractor. So contractor, probably you need to sketch out, what he's going to be able to do in a site, and maybe show it to the client and say, we can do this. And especially if it's a small job, you don't need an architect to do it, and you just want to sketch it out. You can use this to sketch it out, and then you can email it to the client. But when you actually want to do the actual form for billing, you can just handwrite it. And I said, how do you do that? How do you handwrite it? Well, I figured it out. And what you do is basically you send a PDF file with a form. You can send PDF files to this using a computer. So any PDF file can be sent to this. You actually don't even send it to the device. What you do is actually you import it in the app. So if you're on a computer, the app will import any PDF. And then you import the PDF and it automatically shows up on this. And then you can bring up the PDF here and handwrite on it. Okay, so that means you can make your own forms. Let's say you have some sort of construction kind of form, or some sort of job kind of description. And then you handwrite on the job, and you can make notes and make a little booklet, and then you just bill them directly from this by emailing, and you can just handwrite it. And that's like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Now, I didn't know what I was going to use this for. I bought it because I thought I have one called Books, Boox, and I didn't find that to be as intuitive because it's an Android app, and you got to bring up Android stuff and they have a color version of that and so on. But I found that this was much more intuitive because it's native. There's actually nothing else on here. It's just basically just paper. And I said, wow, that's you may not realize how easy it is or simple it is to just have paper. But paper you can email and all that. So anyway, this is not sponsored. I just thought of a way to do this because this is an example of a tech that is not privacy connected. There's no privacy risk to this. Mizu, there's a color version from Books if you want that. This will likely not be in color. Because the concept is, paper. So this is not in color, and frankly, for that kind of use, it doesn't need to be in color. So anyway, yeah. So if you're like sitting there thinking, now I'm going to tell you the big negative here in the next 30 seconds. The big negative is it's not backlit. So it does need some lighting. So I had to buy like a little light if I want to work on this in the dark. So I'm going to get a light for it, and then we'll see how that works. But yeah, that's the only negative, because like Books is backlit. This is not backlit, but it's just the simplicity of it all. Technology that doesn't require any. There's nothing. It doesn't have any. No internet browsing or anything like that. So it's just you and the reMarkable app. So yeah. So anyway, just something to think about. So we'll continue on with whatever we want to talk about in a moment, but that's the end of the topic. Let me just pause for a moment to introduce you to my sponsor. My sponsor is Linode. Linode, as if some of you don't know, is a cloud service provider, which means you can have servers running in the cloud, not mostly, but almost always Linux servers, or you can run websites. In fact, any kind of Linux app that you want to run remotely, you can run on a cloud server on Linode. I run quite a few servers. In fact, my entire VPN service runs on Linode. I run many features of my products, not just the VPN, but even my email products and some parts of Braxme run on Linode. Not 100% because some things are still on Amazon AWS. So it's been a boon to me because Linode is so much cheaper. So I'm not spending as much money as I would if I used AWS for some of the services that I do. It's been a big bargain to use Linode. And so if you're looking for an option for cloud services and you want something like for your business or a website, you can run a website for $5 a month. If you want to do all this and save money where you don't have to pay extra for bandwidth, then what you do is go to linode.com, and if you do /Rob Braxman, they're going to give you a $100 credit, which you can apply within 2 months of use. And chances are you're not going to even use that because, it's so inexpensive to run Linode. You likely not even spend that much. So anyway, glad to have him as my sponsor in 2023. I probably won't have any more sponsors in 2024. That's the plan right now. But today we have a sponsor, and that's Linode. Okay. Let me just check. I'm just looking here at the. Okay, Rumble had a frozen image, so I was concerned if Rumble kind of went out of sync, but it looks okay. Okay, so Kevin says it's out of focus, and it looks pretty much in focus to me. So I guess that's not true. So anyway, back to this little device here, and again, it's interesting to talk about, but I don't really. This is not sponsored. I don't get anything out of this. I'm not a. What do you call this? I don't have any association with them. I've never talked to anyone from reMarkable. I've just been looking at it for a while, and I said, this is interesting. I wonder if this could be, if this can make your creative juices flow, because you're not being held up by technology. Technology is a negative. Is it made in China? I mean, probably is. I mean, what's not made in China nowadays? I don't know where it's made, but yeah, the company is not in China. I think if I recall, the company is in the EU, but I can't remember. Yeah, Neil, you can actually draw a football play on that thing if you play football, but since I don't do that and I don't know anything about football, so I probably won't be able to draw anything for you. But I don't know. It's just there's something. This may not appeal to the younger person because they're used to using a computer, but I find that it's having to there's too many steps to, let's say I have to write a script and I got to do it on a computer. And one of the things that I find is if you go to the computer, then writing a script is very linear, meaning you start writing a script and you have to script out the opening sentence and everything else that you got to do, and then it becomes linear rather than taking notes and being able to just freely drop ideas randomly anywhere, which you can do more easily with handwriting. So I just found that and I this was a theory. I didn't really know. I just got this out of a kind of a whim, and but I am not. I'm not creatively inspired when I use a computer, because I use a computer almost every moment of the day here. When I'm awake, I have a computer in front of me, and it's not inspiring for ideas. It's sometimes you sketch out an idea, and I mean the example I use is I'm always like interested in doing things to my boat, and doing like projects, because I think of my boat as a place for um, what do you call this? A prepper's kind of a place where survivalist kind of thing. What can I do to the boat to to build up on that on the prepper concept, and so my boat is new, so I didn't really need to do anything related to batteries, for example. And so at this point, to do anything with the batteries would be a waste of money because it has new batteries. But I said, and when the time comes, the maybe next year, the batteries will be old enough that they could be due for replacement, because you typically replace batteries between 3 to 5 years, like a car. And I wanted to go lithium, and I actually did lithium in my older boat. And lithium is complicated to set up, especially if you have tight space and you got to figure out what can fit. And so I said, can I sketch it out? And that's one of the things I did here, was actually started sketching out, just kind of like a fun project. Can I sketch out? Um, I wonder where I put it here. I can't. I don't remember, because. Oh, I know. I put it in a folder on boats. So let's see where I put it here. So, well, I guess I can't find where my notes are, but what I did was I just sketched out just what I would do, to put in lithium. And there's just something about just sketching it out. Now, just for example, I put a PDF file in here and start writing on the PDF file as a tech support kind of handwriting. And I made a form, and I called it tech support request form. So how did I do that? Well, I made a PDF file, and then I just handwrite on the PDF, and it's pretty simple. So you can actually make forms, which is not explained. It's not explained in the documentation for reMarkable, but I was like thinking about how somebody would use this. That tablet isn't cheap in Australia. It's not cheap in the U.S. It's over $500 here. So I think I paid 400 something, because I didn't get the the cover. The cover is another $100, I think. So I did not get that. I just got the actual unit. Um, I didn't think I needed it, because I put it in a bag, and it looks pretty sturdy, and it doesn't look. It seems to be scratch resistant. So anyway, it's pretty nice. I have books, Boox. So that's another kind of device. It's kind of similar, but it runs Android. So, and it's not de-Googled. So you got to be careful with that. You got to make sure the one that I got does not have approval from Google, so it's not officially a Google product, but there's still some connection to Google because it's a Play Store. So anyway, of course it's in focus. All I have to do is do that, and it's in focus. But if I'm out of the center of the screen, it might be a problem. So anyway, I think it's like 500 some bucks with the case. I bought it for under 500 without a case. So I think the books one is cheaper. Maybe not as intuitive as this. So I mean, goodness, this is like super thin. It's like a dedicated device. There's Amazon has one. It's a Kindle. It's an e-ink device as well, and you can do some of this stuff as well as read Kindle books. So you can look at that as well. You can buy lots of paper with 500 bucks and convert to OCR with a printer scanner. You could do that. Yeah, you could do that. Have fun with that, though. I mean, let's say you're a contractor and you said, "Oh, I'm going to sketch out the thing, and now I got to make copies, and now I got to send it to the client, and I need to email it to the client." Yeah, you're going to be hard pressed to actually do that in real life. So, whereas everything is built into this, you can email your whatever you write on here directly to anyone, any number of copies. So that's a very specific use. I think my particular use case here is I just want the freedom of creativity, just being able to I mean it's expensive. It's an expensive device, but it's not for all. I mean, for people who are on a budget, obviously this is not a cheap device to use. But for me to test it, I guess it's okay. I can invest in that to test it. I'll probably make a video. That'll make it worth it if I make a video to justify the amount I paid for this. If I make a video, then that'll be make it worth it. So maybe a future video to think about applications for this kind of thing. Okay, and of course, this is running Linux, so there's no Android, there's no Google, nothing is actually looking at your stuff. So that's kind of the unique advantages of it. Okay, so anyway, it's just something that I discovered, and probably expensive for many of you. So don't suggest that I'm recommending you buy it. There are other cheaper ones like books and Kindle. I don't think the Kindle is that cheap, but there's a Kindle version that does e-ink. So anyway. Well, I found that my bedside light is not bright enough to write on this. So I got a little light I'm going to put on the top so I can write my notes. Because one of the things I want to do is, like in the middle of the night, I get an idea for what I should tell you guys. And I want to be able to do it without having to turn on the computer and bring up a document. And it's really hard to do that, when you're in the middle of the night and you just want to write an idea, and I can't do that. And so this is kind of encouraging me to do that. And actually, just very quickly, I wrote a idea for a video, and it was so fast. I mean, this is multi-page document here. I actually made multi-page notes of what I'm going to say. And I was able to do that very, very quickly, just handwriting it. So that's pretty cool. There's a Clunk Eastwood. If you watch my video on things to buy for the holidays, I discovered a new tablet called Starlight Tablet. And you can order it now, but it's not going to be delivered until probably after Christmas, probably early in the year. And it's from Starlab Systems. and it's a Linux tablet. So yeah, Linux tablet. That's yeah. It's in the video. Starlight tablet with the second spelling, LITE. Right. So it's just one of these things that may be uh, a good idea for a video, because I can think of some uses of this for for creative types. But I don't mean creative in the sense of drawing, because this is not. I don't look at this as a drawing tablet. It's more about making notes. So the other thing that I found, I thought that the battery would last longer, because most e-ink tablets, the battery would last weeks. I don't think this one does that. Let me just check the battery life here, because I noticed that it didn't really seem like it was going to last that long. Because I looked at it and it used up 20% power in a day. So I'm just trying to find like settings or something here that might indicate where the battery is. Okay, so last night it was at 51%. Today it's at 44%. So yeah, it's gonna last for a couple more days, but it's not it's not as long as I would have thought. Like, I believe the books one lasts longer. Refresh is pretty good. I mean, it's not instant, but the faster the CPU, the faster the refresh. Can I Bluetooth a keyboard to the Starlight tablet? Can I Bluetooth a keyboard? Don't know. It's Linux, so whatever you can do in Linux, you can do on it. I made a link to it on my last video on Amazon, which looks like the same price. So yeah, just so you know, as far as whether you should buy other products, like somebody says, you say Huawei and all that. It comes with software for every device. So there's a software for mobile, there's a software for Windows, software for Mac OS, and so on. That is a duplicate of this. So whatever you do on this device automatically appears on the synced software on your other device. So it's actually a much more interesting than you think, because it's basically makes this the input device, but the output is everywhere that you normally work at. So you don't even have to think about it. If I write on this, whatever I write automatically gets uploaded, and I can see it on my computer's reMarkable app. Okay? So, anyway. Pine 64 worth it? That's a good question. Some of that. Let me just say that the Pine 64 is kind of low end CPU stuff. So probably not good as a media. What do we use tablets for? We use tablets for media consumption. So you want like an iPad kind of media consumption, watching videos and so on, watching movies, reading. I'm going to say that the Pine 64 is kind of on the low end of the CPU scale, versus the Starlight that I linked is on the high end of the CPU scale. That's like a powerful computer. So the pricing is reflective of a powerful computer versus a cheaper tablet that will be more like a Raspberry Pi. So probably not the best. You can read EPUB on the reMarkable, yes, but you cannot read Kindle books on it. You can read PDFs on it, which I already tried, but you can read EPUB on it. EPUB is fine. That's in the documentation, not Kindle books. So for Kindle books, you're going to use something that's, like an iPad or an actual Kindle. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so Pine 64 is more of a developmental thing, and yeah, not not high end enough for what a tablet's going to be used for. The Starlight at 655 means it's going to be a high end computer. So it should be the same as a laptop. Should be the same kind of power as a normal laptop, meaning, high end Intel chip. Which Linux OS would you recommend for the tablet? I think that the Starlight has Ubuntu installed by default, which is fine. I use Pop OS mostly. I don't think, some people are like sticklers for this, and they say, well, there's a little bit of tiny amount of spyware on Ubuntu and so on, which is so insignificant in the scheme of things. I wouldn't even really worry about it. But if it concerns you, then you can install something else. But I find that Ubuntu, the reason it's more popular is because it's the most compatible. Because they have the developers to be there to make sure every device works. So reMarkable syncs to the reMarkable site, and then it passes it on to your reMarkable app on your other devices. So, as far as how private it is, that's a good question. Because you have to go, it's an option. You don't have to do this, but you have to pass through reMarkable to send it to your other devices. Do they do encryption and any of that? I don't know. I didn't check. But for the kind of use that I'm thinking about here, it doesn't really matter so much, because this is not going to a site that's, data collection based. So, okay. So anyway, that's just we don't want to make this into a reMarkable promotion video, because that's not what it's about. So anyway, I'm gonna come up with a video after Thanksgiving that will isolate a specific problem I want to address. And the problem I want to address is the fact that the public key infrastructure, or PKI, that is the basis of HTTPS, TLS, all of that, is so messed up that as of today, I'm going to say that I cannot trust anything that goes through HTTPS. As I told you, the EU is going to be the root authority, one of the many root authorities, which means they can issue any certificate for any surveillance purpose they want. But worse yet, they're authorizing each country in the EU to make their own certificates by making them intermediate certificate authorities. And basically that means any one of them can issue a certificate for any website. And that means then if they issue a fake certificate for any website, then they can intercept the traffic for that website. So just as an example, they said, we want to intercept the traffic to Proton Mail. So they look at the Proton Mail domain, make a fake certificate, and then they can go read all the traffic on Proton Mail before even Proton Mail gets to see it. Now, the evil in this that you don't realize is you might think, oh, it's just the EU. What does this have anything to do with? That's where in the US, it doesn't need to concern us. But you don't understand how the certificate authorities work. Certificate authorities do not have a limit on what they can issue. If you're a certificate authority, you can issue a domain for anyone, anywhere. It doesn't matter. So you can make a fake certificate for somebody in China. You can make a fake certificate for somebody in the US. You can make a fake certificate for somebody in the Caribbean. You can make a fake certificate for somebody in the EU. It doesn't matter. You can make a fake certificate for somebody in Russia. You can basically put that fake certificate anywhere as long as your root certificate is loaded on the device, which they are going to require for all the browsers. This is the EU saying they're going to require this. Basically empowers every EU entity, government, to spy on anyone in the world. And if you decide to untrust any EU certificate or untrust the EU root certificate, you would be going against the law. This is the law that they're considering here. They haven't done this yet, but that's what the plan is. So then once they put the root certificates in, then they lock you in and you're not allowed to get rid of it. Well, what the fuck, guys? I really needed to say F in there. I mean, this just makes me so angry. Because if you're going to do that, then Zuck. We don't need any zucking HTTPS. They have just canceled all of that. They've just canceled all web encryption. Because there's no need for web encryption because it's completely useless. So disturbing, folks. I mean, when Nikki Haley hears that, she'd probably say, oh, I like that. We should do that in the U.S. too. We should make the U.S. government a root certificate authority. Well, actually, think about that. What does it take for the U.S. government to be a root certificate authority? If you think this is not happening already. What do you think it takes? My goodness, folks, all it takes is for them to get the private key from the root certificate authority. One of them. Any one of them. So that's probably, which one is that? Who bought VeriSign? Because VeriSign was the root authority. Was it DigiCert or something that begins with C? I forget. Anyway, one of those companies bought VeriSign. Okay, so now what does that mean? All they have to do is go to that company. Let's say, I forget which one it is, but let's just, for the sake of discussion, say DigiCert. It's not DigiCert. It's one of the other ones that bought VeriSign. And they say, okay, we demand, because of the Patriot Act, that you give us your root certificate private key. We demand it. It's part of the Patriot Act. You are not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to talk about it because Patriot Act. And if you do talk about it, you're going to go to zucking jail. So then what is a DigiCert or one of those guys going to do? Well, they don't have a choice. They say, okay, here's our private key. Now, what happens then? Do you need to be a root certificate authority to do anything? No, if you have the private key, you are the zucking root certificate authority. All you need is the zucking private key. This is how stupid this whole system is. The whole design of this is so flawed. I mean, it's 20-year-old technology and it's really zucked up. So in a new video, I will tell you how I would do it differently. So in case you think I'm just here as a complainer, I'm actually going to tell you how I would design it so that we don't have this issue. Because right now, root certificates, all of this is pretty much crap. We don't have any security in terms of HTTPS. Anyone can do anything to intercept any kind of HTTPS traffic, and you're not going to need to be a hacker. So I came up with a way to do it. And is anyone going to care what I designed as far as how to do this? No, nobody's going to care, but I'm going to do it anyway. Nobody's going to watch it, but I'm going to state it. And what I'm hoping is somebody takes the idea, because do you know who can implement this? Google. Somebody who makes a browser, because the only way to implement this is a browser. If a browser starts to say, okay, we will support this kind of methodology for verifying that there is no man in the middle, we're done. We can succeed. So I designed this system in my head that says, okay, we're not gonna, because what is the incentive for government to allow actual privacy in HTTPS? They don't want it. They don't want it. So people are saying, oh, this Rob Braxton guy, he's a dummy. He doesn't know anything. Okay, so I'm going to design one for you to show you that, I know a couple of things. I'm not that dumb. So, yeah, it's funny. I get so many haters. And if you say, okay, how are you going to solve it? And they're too dumb to come up with an idea. But I came up with the idea, and I thought about it for a while, and I said, I mean, there's some little pieces here that I can modify over a period as I come up with a better approach. But I have kind of a sensible approach that if all it takes is for a Google to say, that's a good enough idea. If we can implement that, then because you know what? There is no incentive for government to protect HTTPS. None. They'd rather not protect it. So, which means our banking, all of that, our social media, they want to have it all exposed. Corporations have no incentive either. What's the incentive for a Ford or some industrial corporation to protect your data on their network? They want to see everything, so they don't believe in encryption either. But Google understands that security is key to what they do. So although you might think that doing away of identifying a man in the middle with HTTPS is not important, it's very important to a Google because of security. Because they believe in security. They believe they don't care about privacy, but they care about security. So if somebody says, okay, we'll do that, we'll come up with a way. I can't program all this. I don't have the time or energy to program. Not really all that complicated. Or it's just the way I figure it out. It's not all that complicated. It's just, but the browser has to support it. It can be done. Can be done. So anyway, it's for future video. I don't know when. I've already written it. But, if we'll see if, do I do it after Thanksgiving? I don't know. Thanksgiving has a different video. So, which is already made. So, yeah, after Thanksgiving, or do I do a video on reMarkable? I don't know. Nobody will watch this kind of video anyway, but ask ChatGPT to help me. You mean not Grok? I can't ask Grok to help me. I gotta go ask ChatGPT. Why Pop OS? Because Pop OS is a fork of Ubuntu. So it has all the benefits of all the drivers of Ubuntu, but it doesn't have the trackers that Ubuntu puts in to check how many users they have. Because Ubuntu does I think it's check.ubuntu.com. So every time you run Ubuntu, it connects to check.ubuntu.com, passes your IP address and all that. So that's why people are upset about Ubuntu, because it does that. So Pop! OS doesn't do it. So okay, but it's still based on Ubuntu, so it's pretty much like Ubuntu. So a little prettier than Ubuntu in my opinion. So that's why I use Pop! OS. Pop! OS, of course, is the OS used by System 76, which makes the Linux laptops. System 76 is a very good supplier of Linux laptops. So, yeah. Yeah, my friends, I didn't even say, so happy Thanksgiving for those in the US, and for those who do Christmas, Merry Christmas. That's We can start wishing you Merry Christmas, after Thanksgiving in a few days. If you're in the Philippines, you're already saying Merry Christmas since September. And for those, in other places, and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa and whatever else you want to celebrate, let me know and I'll greet you. So, but anyway, I celebrate Christmas. So for those of you who do, then Merry Christmas. So, and like I said, for those who came late and didn't know this, there will be no live stream next week, because the live stream will coincide with Thanksgiving, so we don't have time to do that then, and I don't have time to squeeze it in at any other moment there. So even after that, so we'll resume with the normal schedule after that. Yeah. Oh, in the Philippines, yeah, they Christmas decorations. You can watch videos of it. It's pretty interesting, Philippines is a very Catholic country, and they're kind of obsessed with Christmas. So yeah, they put up Christmas decorations as early as September, and you can hear Christmas carols as early as September. Crazy stuff. So, by the way, Mizu, do I think Ubuntu has some serious telemetry? I gotta allow them the fact that the reason that they do this check.ubuntu.com is they want to count the number of users they have. I mean, they're basically, their hands are tied. Nobody knows how many users they have, and so, so they're basically being nailed to the wall, so to speak, because they want to find out how many users they have, and that's really the basis of the complaints about Ubuntu. You know what? It's not. I don't look at Ubuntu as a Google. They're not there to collect data, so I'm gonna say it's okay. I'm not an extremist with this. They're not a big offender of privacy. So yes, it's an invasion of privacy in a little way, but I can understand why they want to do it, because they want to invest in resources, and they can't invest in resources if they don't know how many people actually use their stuff. So you like framework? Yeah, I looked at that. I did not buy framework. I bought a Dell computer instead of a framework. I did think about, should I use framework or not? And I did not do that. I ended up buying a Dell. In retrospect, the Dell that I have is awful. It's a 15-inch. I have the Dell 13-inch XPS, which is actually pretty good. But I got a Dell 15-inch with NVIDIA card, and I wanted it to do videos, and it is so buggy. It is so fucking buggy. It's like such trouble. So yeah, I maybe I should have gone with framework. It's really because I wanted a high end device with NVIDIA on it, and I don't think framework has anything with NVIDIA. So in the end, it bites me in the behind because it's not it's too buggy. It's one of the worst Dells I've ever bought, and I still have the old Dell, which is still pretty good shape, but it doesn't have NVIDIA. So yeah, no Lenovo. Not for what I wanted to use it for. I wanted a. I already have many laptops, but I buy a laptop every year. You know, to improve my productivity and in um, editing videos and making videos, but it didn't turn out too good. Uh, Zaptosis. Now that as lead dev, your views of the project's changed. What has changed? So Daniel McKay is still running. Is He's the only contributor, as far as we know, to Graphene OS. What's actually changed? I mean, the guy's crazy. So some of you ask, why do I not promote Graphene OS? Because they're run by crazy people. All they do is hack me. They go hack me all day. I mean, that's their activity, hacking me and say, whoa, we're such promoters of privacy. Bullshit. I mean, they're run by a crazy guy, and the crazy guy wants to promote such evil things, and he makes statements like he's so special because he runs this Graphene OS, and he's the only guy really running it. So yeah, and then he makes all these statements about things that it makes you think he's so super smart, and he does everything so much smarter than anybody else, and you actually look at the logic and you say, no, I'm not impressed. So I am not impressed by anything that's in Graphene OS. It's all a lot of like smoke and mirrors. One of the things, some of the claims about what they actually do is part of standard Android to begin with, but no, I'm not impressed. I mean, it's fine. It's equal to the rest of them. I would say it's equal to Calyx OS, but to say it's superior because Daniel McKay says so, then fine. If that's what you think, then use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's crap. Okay, it's crap because of the community. It's a crappy community. So why go to that when you get some nice people at Calyx OS and EOS? I can't pronounce his name, but the guy from EOS, Marina, I think it's French. Yeah, nice people. Nice people. Just give you an example of just supposedly smart people, and they don't really give you the correct information because maybe they don't understand it. I don't know. But one of the things that this McKay guy wrote is this Exodus app. And this Exodus app is used by Aurora Store, I believe, and it has trackers. It tracks trackers, so it will accurately report on the trackers in each app. Useless. So people come to me and say, I don't want to install this app because it has trackers. And it's such a stupid concept because you don't need a tracker to be tracked. Some trackers don't need a tracker the way Exodus describes it. It's a cookie. Okay, it's a cross-site cookie. Well, let me tell you a little secret here for somebody who, should be smart enough to know this. You don't need a zucking cookie to be tracked. It's called browser fingerprinting. You can track without any zucking cookie. So an app with no cookie doesn't indicate that it's not tracking. You have to always assume that it's tracking. So what's the solution? The solution is to ignore the trackers, because everything has a tracker. Every single thing. So you can't say, well, I can't install software because it's a tracker. Well, that's 99.9999% of all applications have a tracker in there. Just if they have an ad, there's a tracker. So what's the solution? The solution is what I teach you: browser isolation, de-Google font, which he should know because he makes a de-Google font. Because when you do that, then who cares what the tracker says? If you can't be identified because you have no identity, the tracker is supposed to to point to a Google ID. If there's no Google ID, who cares? Who cares? If there's no Google ID, who sucking cares? So he makes that app, and you're all believing him because a bunch of people on Reddit says this guy's a genius. No. Okay. So guy's weird. I'm not going to talk about some of the weird stuff that he's done. He's attacked me publicly. His minions attack me constantly. Never talked to him myself, but his minions attack me daily. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I haven't really talked about that, but so he stepped down from graphene. Does that mean that you're supposed to like graphene now? So no, great goal. I am not saying I'm going to do a reMarkable video next week. No, there's no chance of that. But maybe before Christmas, I might. You cannot run an APK directly on Linux. You need an Android emulator. You don't need proof of fingerprinting at whatever that is. You just go to brax.me/geo. I have a demonstration right there. brax.me geo. Location tracking and fingerprinting. Okay, so what am I? Sorry, hiccups here. Yeah, there's some things I don't want to discuss in a public setting here. I don't usually attack people by name because it's waste of energy. So that's it. We're not gonna go. We're not gonna go do that much. Is it possible to use YubiKey with a de-Google font? Yeah, of course. Although because of the new thing with passkeys, you may want to hold off on buying a YubiKey because they might change that with a passkey. They may come up with a different hardware. I don't know if they have done that. Come up with different hardware, but they may. So I would hold off a little bit on that because with passkeys. Now I use passkeys myself. So what I did on Google, some of you complained that I, supported passkeys, and I don't need to waste my energy in defending my move there. But basically the advantage for me is I have now taken off any reference to any phone number on my Google YouTube account. So my YouTube account no longer has a phone number, and the identity that they have of me is via passkey. So if they need 2FA, it's done by passkey. Now you're going to say, well, passkey, they have my biometrics. No, no, they do not have my biometrics. Okay. If you understand how it works, they don't have my biometrics. So I'm okay with that. Passkeys are fine. Passkeys are new. And many of you don't like when I talk about passkeys. So I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to tell you right now. I use it. It's fine. It doesn't send your biometrics to anyone. It allows you to reach the highest level of 2FA without using a phone number or texting or anything like that. Now, of course, Google still says, oh, could you maybe give us another phone number in addition to the passkeys? And I say, duck you, Google, but they can't require me now because it's the highest level. How would those wireless Sony headphones be for language learning? Those Sony headphones that I have, now I have two kinds of Sony headphones, Mizu. I have the Link Bud S, which are the tiny earbuds. I have so many problems with them. They're I don't know what it is. You know, the signal is bad. The Bluetooth doesn't always connect. The battery doesn't last as long. And I actually migrated back to the headsets. The battery lasts longer, and I never have to worry. I mean, I can use it all day. I plug it in a few hours a day, and that you can use it for 30 hours. So, well, not the version I have. The version I have, you can use it for 20 hours. So yeah, it's amazing noise cancellation. So the Link Bud S is the earbud version from Sony, and they're also very high-end products. But to be honest, the noise cancellation on and it's more comfortable. The noise cancellation on the headsets are better. So, Toxic Straight White Male like my holiday gift list video. That's amazing, that your family. I mean, I have pretty much every product on there. I don't have a Garmin watch. I've looked at the Garmin watches, and there's so many variations of them. Some are like great for marine use, and they're kind of expensive. They're like $1,000 for the marine one, and I said to myself, I probably will never use it or not use it much, so I don't think I can justify $1,000 for that. But some of them, like the aviation ones, are like pretty fancy, and they seem like very excellent kind of gifts. But yeah, Captain Kirk had a flip phone. So let's see. So yeah, I'm glad to, because most people didn't watch very few people watched the shopping video. I would say 50% of the people that usually watch didn't watch that. Don't know why. Maybe they don't like the fact that somebody's going to talk about shopping. They would not know who I am. So hold on. I'm not. Terry's having a conversation with somebody else. Are flip phones from Google safe from Google tracking if you no longer? Which flip phone? So somebody said, I'm gonna get a flip phone. It's running KaiOS. Are they safe from Google? KaiOS is owned by Google. So unless it's a Linux phone, you're zocked. Because even the most simple phones are KaiOS. So I don't know. I don't know what you're going to use. So, yeah. So Joseph said, passkey, don't trust it. Yeah, I get it. You don't trust it. I trust it. It's fine. I don't, I go through a whole long explanation every time. And, Yeah, and it's kind of tiring now. Where I don't have to convince any of you, but if you understand the technology in it, I guess they did a bad job of explaining the tech. But a passkey is not based on biometrics as you think. It's based on certificates. So, is LOS owned by Google? Hell no. LOS is an open source project. How can it be owned by Google? That's nonsense. So passkeys are fine. Will your Brax phones be able to use Verizon? I don't have any more Brax phones. Jitterbug and the Brax 3 will not work with Verizon. You got to use a Pixel. On Linux OS, sign into YouTube on Chrome browser. What else about my PC Google able to see? Well, they see your Google ID if you log in. So the whole point is you isolate it to a separate browser, then they can't see beyond what is in the browser. Have you known Naomi Campbell also on YouTube? No, that's old news, Randy. Naomi Campbell. Yeah. Yeah, she is on YouTube. Yes, and on Odysee and everywhere else. Yeah, she talks about similar things from what I talk about. Wagon loads. Yes, you can make your own certificate, but it doesn't mean it's considered valid. Because, trusted, you can make your own self-signed certificate, but no one else will accept it as, validated. So yes, I make my own certificates, but that doesn't mean anything. I can use it, and I ignore the validation. Are you using Linux or Windows? I'm using Pop! OS on my computers here. They're running Pop! OS. Okay, Linux or Unix open system? Lyndon, I mean, what is your background? What's your tech background? I mean, you're talking to somebody who actually did use Unix. I use Unix. I mean, I'm that old that I was using Unix. So there's no Unix anymore. So Unix is now BSD. So Unix, the last Unix that I used was SCO Unix, which is no longer here. So that became BSD open source. So BSD, which in fact was used to build Mac OS. So yeah, you can still use BSD. It's very similar to Linux, and that would be the exact equivalent of Unix. But why? I mean, obviously Linux is more supported, so they're pretty much similar because they can copy each other's source code. So Kai was based off Firefox OS. What happened? It doesn't matter what it was based on. Google said we want to get in that, so they invested in it. Okay, so we got 1 minute. I guess we got seconds. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching and happy Thanksgiving once again. And hope you found the topic interesting. And go to robbraxman.locals.com because in the future, in 2024, some of this live stream format will no longer be done in this way, and it's going to involve more of Locals and Rumble. So just keep that in mind. So if you follow me on Locals, robbraxman.locals.com, I need you there to see what happens with live stream, because I may not do any here on, it's not decided yet, but certainly part of the live stream, the Q&A section, will likely not exist here. Thank you for watching, my friends, and I'll see you next